Hey, what's up, folks? This is Ralski, and I'd like to introduce you a bit into my world. As a lot of people may have known, that I started out as a musician. I was a drummer in a few bands, the Mofo Homeboys, which were thrash, Dragon, which was more metal, and we played venues like Country Club, the Whiskey, Gazzari's, Troubadour, and all that good stuff. At some point in my life, I decided to help other bands and their projects. So I was working on doing videos, being in videos, and some musician work. At a young age, I was having a lot of issues with medical stuff, and mostly stomach issues where I was in and out of the hospital on the regular basis. I would say around 2010 was when I really started to peak, and I would document most of everything that I was going through so that I can not only share it with the world, but to also be able to go back and reflect on how much I have overcome and how much more I may have to overcome. I've always dabbled in graphics and art, and when I got really into it, I started making flyers for companies that I worked for and friends through word of mouth, and making flyers and business cards and all kinds of promotional materials. Once I got my hands on some canvases and some paint with brushes and different utensils, I started creating things and showing them into art galleries and collectives everywhere. I would make prints and put out different kinds of specialty promotions and putting my stuff on stickers and buttons and even trading cards with other artists just to help them promote themselves. I labeled it as MHNHN, which basically is imagination, all scrunched up together. There were so many different art collectives out there that I gathered together with a few friends, and we created our own art collective called Dada. It was the Department Against Degenerate Art, and it was basically just a collective of us misfits who wanted to do our own thing. It was basically an excuse to throw a backyard party and have a bunch of friends over with a bunch of music and just kind of do our own thing. A lot of people appreciated what we were doing, and we didn't really ask anything back in return, just to have fun and spread the word with hopes that we can get a pretty cool collective going on. It was fun while it lasted, but I wanted to be able to expand and help other artists in other areas without limiting myself or other artists to what it is that they were capable or wanting to do. I made a lot of new friends along the way, and still keep in touch with a lot of them that are still around, and just keep building my creative network. Since Imagination was now branded, it allowed me to utilize it as a tool to help other artists and get them into some art shows that maybe they wouldn't have normally been able to get into. All the while, of course, I was still creating and kind of working out what it was that I wanted to do, and trying to get as much artwork out as I could, never really knowing where I was going to be in the next phase of my life. So I just kept pushing forward and kept creating, and it was definitely a fun experience. I kind of speak of artwork in the past tense because it's been probably around 4 or 5 years since I've really put myself knee-deep into my artwork. I was going through a lot of different stuff, back then, which spouted different creative energy sources. But then once that kind of fizzled out, I decided to focus myself on getting back into music, which was my number one passion for the most part. I joined a band called Power Syndicate around 2017-18, and got back into drumming. We started doing gigs, and I was still promoting my imagination concept through clothing that I had made and just the overall concept, putting the artwork on my drum head. And I always had the mindset that a collectiveness, just like band members in a band, was kind of cool. I was doing it with artists in the past, doing art shows, so it was very familiar for me. And I found that in Ventura County, they had a few things like that going on already. So I just took advantage of the opportunity and jumped right in on it. As mentioned earlier, I was still promoting my brand of imagination with the artwork and wanted to expand that into the new music that I was doing. So I made t-shirts and buttons again, different designs, and then just started wearing them around and spreading the word, and eventually people started asking questions. So now I was able to use my past experience as an artist, a graphic designer, and now I had a brand with the music that I was able to be multifaceted in all forms of creation, including video editing and all that good stuff. During the global pandemic in 2020, I decided to call on a few musician friends and artist friends and see if they were interested in a concept, and that was to do cover tunes and record them and make a video project out of all of them. So that was a great distraction and really helped me out branch my creative juices, if you will. But I definitely do miss painting, and I have a lot of blank canvases still left and a lot of paint left over, so who knows what'll happen this year. I have the desire to get some ideas out, but there's also so many other projects, and I think motivation is key. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and share this video that I made in 2015, which kind of explains the process of how I go about making some of the crazy stuff that I make. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll be coming at you with more content in the near future. Peace out.